buddy.
How you doing, man?
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here.
I love the jacket.
Thanks, dude. Yes, one of my
best.
favorites. One of my favorites. And I know after tonight, it'll be my Blues against your Bruins for the Stanley Cup. So I may have to do a meetup. We may have to have a beer. We may have to just kind of see what happens with that. I don't know how crazy
We'll meet up down in PB. I'll pick the spot, okay?
It's a Bruins watch party.
Exactly. And we'll invite you, and we'll buy you a few drinks.
Awesome.
And we'll see how long you keep your jersey on. No, I think it's going to be a great series. The Bruins are hot. Blues are playing dynamite. So
yeah, no, it should be fun. It should be fun. Let's hope they get it done tonight. But let's talk about the real estate market here in San Diego, particularly the luxury market, which is not where I really live. You know, I'm in the first-time buyer space where I'm talking, helping people figure out how to buy their first house, $500,000 less, and things like that. But I know that the luxury market sometimes can be a leading indicator to what's taking place more macro-wise. We've seen some things. People are talking about credit cycles. People are talking about recession, election next year, all those kinds of things. What is the big money doing right now, Pete?
It's a great question. And I'm really happy. You know, listen, if I had all the answers all the time, I'd have my own show, right? No, you know, the heavy money, the big money, the smart money, a lot of it's sitting on the sidelines.
Is that right?
Yeah. And they've been sitting there for around six to 9 months.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Waiting for opportunities?
Waiting for opportunities, picking their spots. You know, you have certain sectors in the market. When you get between 5 and 7.5, it starts changing. Million, right?
Yeah.
Those people can buy anytime they want. So they buy based on what they want, not based on if they need something or the market or how things are shifting and transitioning.
Is that market still moving?
It's moving here and there. I feel if people price it competitively and they keep it ahead of the market, it'll move.
Yeah.
You know, it's still there. The tax law definitely affected California, especially Southern California. Yeah. So we're seeing a pretty heavy exodus of wealth going to Nevada and Texas and Florida.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Has that affected the luxury market?
Yeah, definitely.
Is there a trickle-down effect to that? You know, when the luxury market starts to
a little bit
come in?
A little bit, because, you know, it really depends on location and zip code and what's considered luxury, right?
Yeah, true.
So,
it's not just $1 million. It used to be $1 million plus is a luxury home. Right. But you can make the argument that that's not the case.
No, I really feel, you know, first of all, let's make it perfectly straight. San Diego is the Costco of real estate in California. And I know that sounds asinine, but it's true. If you compare us to Newport Beach, or you compare us to Malibu or Beverly Hills or Palo Alto or Santa Barbara, any of these really affluent communities, right?
Yeah.
We're on sale, man.
No, big time.
And I feel we have the best weather. I feel we have the best environment. And it's one of those things that I think San Diego in the future, it has a very, very bright future when it comes to luxury real estate. You know, we just have to see how the whole industry is going to play out over the next 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I look at real estate all over the country, just out of curiosity, it's something that I'm interested in. When I see what people are paying in Idaho and even Nevada or Texas or some of these places, I'm like, man, it's just dramatically worse lifestyle, in my opinion, to live in any of these places, just solely based on the weather. I mean, just solely based on what you can do, how many days you have outside activities, opportunities, where you just go, oh, you know, how many days do we have those here? A whole bunch of days here in San Diego where you just go outside and just like, oh, this is amazing, you know? So just based on that alone, I feel like we have a huge advantage. And to your point, we are on sale. If you compare like San Francisco, which I would never move to San Francisco ever.
Listen, we're 50 to 60% cheaper.
That makes no sense. That to me is something that has to level itself out over time, somehow.
I feel it will. That's why I'm very bullish on the greater San Diego County and area in the future, right? Because it's inevitable.
Yeah.
I mean, when you really look at it, we're close to Mexico. We got great weather. It's a great community. Downtown's building up. There's a lot of positives, right? The culture's getting there, the arts, a lot of building, a lot of outdoor areas that you can enjoy year-round.
Yeah.
Great beaches.
Great beaches, great parks.
Yeah.
And we also have space here still.
Right,
Whereas like when you look
exactly.
at some of those other places, there's no space anywhere.
Right. Well, they're pricing themselves out of the market. There goes.
Did you lose your glasses?
Oh, my glasses are gone.
Spectacles
it's okay.
gone.
Don't need them. I thought it would make me look smarter. Those are the things that the conversations that I have with my colleagues in those areas. It's pretty astounding. I mean, they do 50, 80, $100 million sales the same way we do $3 to $5 million sales.
Really?
It's really wild.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I know you've been one to also invest in when you see an opportunity in a property or a piece of real estate that you jump in and have bought stuff, even in the luxury space, flip some things and here and there. What are you doing right now? Do you seeing those opportunities? Are you jumping on those? Or are you passing right now?
It's a really good question. In any market, there's opportunity. Because, not to sound mean, but people tend to get into trouble or life happens, right? So I kind of sit and I pick my spots, especially in a market like this where it's transitioning. You have to have a lot of experience. You have to have a lot of know-how. Because people can find the opportunity. They're just really bad about doing their pro formas and doing the value add to get to where they're going to sell it. So they're not really good at projecting through the data where the market's going to go and where they're going to pinpoint. That's the trick, right? So a lot of them overshoot it, and then, the cost of goods are up probably 30, 40%. Subcontractors are swamped, so the cost of labor is way up. And when you look at that, so jobs are taking longer, labor's up, cost of goods are up, so it's tough to stay within your pro forma, and you got to be a real pro to understand that. Otherwise, you get in trouble. I see people all the time. They're buying opportunities, and I'm not saying they didn't buy them right. They bought them right, but to carry it with hard money or with other finance and to pay for all the materials and get everybody there and have everything kind of click together on time, they're all going past their timelines, which hits into what their overall carry is, and what ends up happening is it diminishes any returns. So a lot of people are going through, they're fixing houses or building ADU units and doing things like that to advance their real estate, and they're turning around trying to 1031 it or to flip it or to rehab it, and they're making no money. And they can't understand why, because they're not good at projecting where the market's going to be. All trees don't grow to heaven, right? Now, I'm not saying we're going into a 2008 to 2010 scenario. That was a world financial crisis. That wasn't.
You did say the market's transitioning, though.
It is transitioning. It's
think?
normalizing.
Normalizing.
That's the best word.
I think it's been too hot then.
I don't think it's been necessarily too hot. I think it got to a point where it was somewhat unsustainable with the amount of inventory and what people could afford. If you look at the affordability index for what the average person makes in San Diego, the affordability index is way low. I'm talking less than, I think last time I checked, it was like less than 6%. People can afford the houses. So that's an issue. When you go to Orange County or LA County or even up towards San Francisco, they're making more money, right?
That's true.
And it transitions very, very quickly. So, and you have outside influence.
What needs to happen here in order for us to have the economy like that? Because I know they're trying downtown. They have the Idea District coming in. They're trying to recruit companies from Silicon Valley. What do we need? Because we've got Qualcomm.
Right.
I mean,
we have the biomed.
Yeah, we have biomed. Big
biotech.
Time. Biotech.
Right. We compete with Boston for that.
We've got a lot here. I mean, what do we need in order to make that push? Is it because we're too big? I mean, one of the things about some of those areas, they're smaller geographically.
Yeah, I don't think it's because we're too big. I feel that we just need to get a little more diversified. For years and years and years, it was tourism, military, and then communications came along, right? Now biomed's coming in, biotech, and it's holding on to the talent to stay here. Most people want to stay here, but when you're offered 50 grand more or 100 grand more for the same position in Orange County or LA, you're going to go there.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. They have to attract that talent. They need to build housing that people can afford. They need to create jobs. They need to pull down the barriers on what it takes to get permits and get through the housing process, which is just asinine. It's ridiculous how long it takes. That's my feeling on it. But who knows? I really think San Diego's in a good position right now, and you got to have a strategy when you look at it. If you're looking at it 2-3 years out, I think the economy is going to decide it for you.
Okay.
If you're looking at it 10-15 years out, I think you're going to win.
Yeah.
I think you're going to win big.
In San Diego, I agree.
Yeah.
I think long-term San Diego, it's one of those things, 20 years from now, we'll all be looking back going,
Oh.
why didn't I just buy everything I could see?
Well, everybody still says that now.
Yeah.
I remember when I arrived in '96.
Oh.
Right?
Go.
And I was looking at things down near the beach and PB and La Jolla, and some of those things. I remember I could have bought a house on Camino de la Costa in La Jolla. It was a foreclosure, 6-bedroom, 4.5 bath, 4,200 square feet across the street from the ocean, and I had that in escrow at $775. And I thought to myself, I'm crazy. This is way too much money. So I
When
backed
was
away
that?
from it.
What year?
That was 1997.
1997. That is a lot of money for 97.
Oh yeah.
You probably felt like, gosh, I'm just overpaying for this thing.
Yeah, but
What do you think that's worth today?
well, I know what it's worth. Sold 2 years ago, 4.4. It made me feel great. So you're not going to win them all,
Right.
Right? But the goal is to win the majority.
But that was a 20-year time frame. So that just kind of shows
Well,
you.
yeah, more or less. It was probably a 20-year time frame, and we had some major market moves and other things that definitely affected the economy and how people function in real estate. So it's really fascinating. It's interesting when you look at that and you can see how these markets shift. But right now, if you really look at data, and I was around doing real estate in the 80s. I was around doing real estate in the early 90s, the late 90s, the early 2000s, the late 2000s. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, and history repeats itself in different ways. So it's really interesting when you look at and you follow the data, because I'm really data driven, and I try to be very logical about it in my projections. It leaves a lot of clues. The problem is most people get caught up in it, and they don't listen. They don't pay attention to the clues, and it's just human nature.
And the best thing you can do is just to be in, just have it, right? Because that property is a perfect example. You would have bought it in '97 for $775. We would have had the tech bubble.
Right?
We had 9/11.
Right?
We had the worldwide financial meltdown.
Well, before that, we had the 120% loan to value loans.
Right.
Right? No income doc, and that prolonged that market. That market really, if you looked at the data, that market really should have ended around 2002, 2004.
Right.
It got extended beyond because of greed.
Yep. Lower interest rates, a whole bunch of things that added to
Right.
kind of piled onto that. But even through all that property still, now after the crash, the recovery from that, because it sold in what, 17 or 18?
Yeah, I think it sold 16 or 17.
16 or 17.
Yeah.
So almost 20 years later, through multiple meltdowns, war,
Right.
all that, it still increased in value by almost 5x or
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, more than that.
More than 5x.
5,000%,
5,000+%.
which is a great return.
That's
I wish I get that return all the time.
Yeah, that's crazy. So
But
that just shows you, though, buying in a good location and holding
right.
for knowing they have that long-term outlook, you can face all kinds of stuff
Right.
in the middle. You hang in there.
But here's
You
the
got a
key.
winner.
You have to be able to sustain.
Yeah, hang.
And a lot of people can't. They run into trouble. That's why you see divorces and people getting job transfers and other things that can really affect it. And then it's not if they want to sell, they have to sell or they're forced to sell, right? Because there's no outs. It's not where you can go and refinance it and pull money out or do that. So they tighten it up. We can already see it. I mean, the banks are still at the other end of the spectrum. They're pretty tight. I mean, the rates are phenomenal.
Right.
I mean, this is like unheard of. So I think they're going to go down even more over the next 60 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you got to go long. You got to go long.
Long term.
You got to go long. Next year's an election year. Usually when it comes to election years with the stability of real estate and the economy, it's pretty steady. You don't see a lot of cowboy stuff going on where it's all over the place, because otherwise the guy doesn't get reelected.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't see a lot of movement in rates. You don't see a lot of movement in government policy when it comes to real estate. They keep it kind of flatlined. And then after that, all bets are off.
We'll see what happens in the stock market. I think it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
I
very,
think so
very
too.
I think it'll depend on how much uncertainty there is, how good of a candidate that Trump will be up against.
Right.
You know, if he has another bad candidate that he's running against, then maybe there will be more certainty, less volatility. If there's a real challenge there, then you might see more volatility. It could be very interesting to see what
It's
takes
all
place
cyclical, right?
there. Yeah, for
But
sure.
you have to be smart, and you have to make logical decisions. And when in doubt, buy quality. Buy real estate with amenities. Buy real estate in great areas. However, you have to go long.
Yeah. I agree.
You don't have to. I don't like.
You should. It's better.
The strategy is better if you go long.
It's safer.
Yeah, if you can sustain.
Yeah, it's
That's
safer
the
if you
key.
can sustain.
Is to sustain.
You know what's interesting also about the luxury markets? I took a look at a few places just before we were going to chat today, just to kind of get an idea.
Sure.
It seems like it's really hard to price some of these places. Like you can see a wild difference.
Yeah.
Where like you look at one place and you're like 6 million, amazing, off the charts, crazy. Another one seems similar, maybe has a few other bells and whistles, 11 million. Like it's
Yeah.
like, what is up with that? Like how's that the way that it works in luxury real estate? Is it just totally like, hey, the sellers have this much into it, this is the number they want kind of thing?
It goes back to the old saying, the three things you need in real estate, right? Location, and Pete knows real estate. That's what you need, all right? And you have to, I feel, and I'm not saying this just aimed at me, but I think it's very important to put strategies together and game plans together with true professionals who understand the market and where it's trending and what's happening, who are in tune with the market, not just looking at houses saying, all right, the price per square foot is this, so that's what it's worth. That's not the case. There's so many other factors that go into it. We have certain sectors. You have to take everything by sectors. It's very it's a micro market, right? So the market in San Diego has nothing to do with the market in Ames, Iowa, right? Where the average price might be $75,000. Now there's nothing wrong with that, but if that price goes from $75,000 to $90,000, is a jump of $15,000. I mean, that's a massive increase
Right.
when you look at it, when you put it into context. And that's the thing. See, San Diego, for a long time, you were able to buy a house for $200,000, $300,000. It's pretty much non-existent now, unless you go way out.
Yeah.
And that's why people are pushing the boundaries out, because they're losing options, right? And then it comes down to either simplifying or your time. How do you want to live, right? Every person has to make that decision for what is right for them and their family, and that's why we see people leaving, right? Because when you get only a $10,000 tax credit for state, area, local taxes and interest, it's pretty significant. That's why you see a mass exodus from Connecticut and New Jersey and New York. They're all fleeing down to Florida. That's their mainstay.
Yeah. People do tend to, in times when the market is not, I don't want to say at a peak, but has been good for a long time.
Sure.
Let's say, we're at a spot now where you can look at stock market hit all-time high just within the last few weeks. Real estate prices have definitely gone up a lot since 2008 and 9.
We're bouncing right now at the top.
Yeah, we're doing this.
Bouncing around. And it's not going to be, the thing I want to get out there to everyone is, and this is just my feeling on it, studying all the data and being through so many markets. It's not going to be the type of market where it elevates to a point and then it nosedives. It's not set up that way, There was very artificial, unusual circumstances before that caused that. They have major safety nets in place, and at the end of the day, the whole world climate is changing somewhat, right? And we don't live in a bad place. We live in a great place, and people do want to live here. So it's very important to look at it for what it is and have the right strategy, because I feel, it will go down. Not everything goes up forever. It will adjust. But the adjustment that it makes is going to be pretty normal. It's going to be pretty standard. I don't think you're going to see, 10 to 15% clicks shooting down. I think you're going to see, 1 to 2, 2 to 3 here and there, then back to 1 to 2. It's going to be pretty steady. And that's because rates are not going to get as high as they were when, right before I first started and some of the other things. True. I do think we're going to have some major issues with Europe. And I feel that that's going to drag us into some sort of a recession type situation.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. Yeah.
That and Asia, both.
Yeah, there's a lot going on globally.
Everything.
There's there's big things happening globally, and that plays a lot into that luxury market too, because we have attracted a lot of money here to San Diego. I mean, if you're in China or somewhere else and you're looking at all these places in California, and then you look at San Diego and you go, whoa, bargain.
Right. Oh, it's bargain.
Bargain. Which is why we had attracted so many international buyers here in the luxury market. Because
but now that's fading.
Yeah.
Right? We had tons of buyers from Europe. A lot of them elect to go to Florida. It's just easier, right? So at the end of the day, even with the wealthy, it comes down to convenience and simplifying their lives, right? So there's big Chinese communities in LA, Seattle, Vancouver, right? San Francisco. All those are big markets. San Diego was never a big market for that. And the reason being, it's out of convenience.
Yeah.
We don't have direct flights to Hong Kong. We don't have direct flights to Beijing.
True.
LAX does. Seattle does. San Francisco does. Vancouver does. Right? And then it comes down to visas and how they're taking their money and where they're investing it.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see what happens globally if we have any kind of turmoil in those other countries, if there will be a flight to U.S. I mean, because of what's happened in Switzerland,
right,
and that all being exposed,
right,
that's no longer the safe haven.
Right.
I mean, the expectation is that the U.S. will become that safe haven.
Well, I feel U.S. will, and I think that'll stabilize the real estate market so it doesn't necessarily really nosedive. I do feel that we do have the best that money can buy as far as parking money in solid investments. Mm-hmm. We're a first world country. And even the Europeans do that. Some of my counterparts in England, the big turmoil there is with Brexit.
Yeah.
The sterling's way down, the pound's way down right now.
I know.
It's down to like $1.17.
Yeah.
Right? And that I'm sure will rebound back up once it's inevitable. I really do feel they'll exit, and then Germany and France will take notice after that.
It'd be hard for them to stick around.
Yeah, so I think that's going to create a lot of an interesting dichotomy in the sense of that whole area, right? Just with how that area affects real estate in the U.S.
Yeah, which it does.
100%. I'd say the eastern seaboard more than the west.
Yes.
However, people want to get here too, and if air travel is convenient or faster, they'll come out to where the weather's better because they're only going to have a certain time out here.
Maybe we should petition San Diego International Airport there for some direct flights.
To get some direct flights, yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Seriously.
Yeah, that would be a smart move.
It's just crazy. If I was at a conference called the International Luxury Alliance in Scottsdale last month, and they invited the top 80 luxury agents in the world for call bankers. So we had people from Rome and Spain, France, England, all the major affluent luxury markets, Beverly Hills, Palo Alto, Silicon Valley, Aspen, Miami, Manhattan, Chicago, Phoenix, Hawaii. So all these people came together and everybody gave I like to call it a state of the union of what's happening in their affluent markets where they specialize. And just to kind of to really explain it and why it was so interesting is they allowed 20 people to give 10 minutes on the state of the market for the luxury markets in their area that they specialize in. So we had Aspen, we had Malibu, we had Beverly Hills, we had Newport Beach, we had Santa Barbara, Silicon Valley, San Francisco, Greenwich, Connecticut, Manhattan, Miami, England, France, and Hawaii, and of course San Diego. So I was after, it went San Fran, then Silicon Valley, and then it was Santa Barbara, then Beverly Hills, then Newport Beach, and then San Diego. And I get up there, and my opening statement was, it's really easy to sum it up where we are. We're the best kept secret in the world. We are the Costco of real estate, luxury real estate. We are. And you can get great opportunities. And most people, if they come down from any other area, they look at it and they say, what's wrong with it?
Yeah, what's the catch?
What's the catch? There's something, why is it half off or 40% off or 30% off? They don't get it, right? Because as a city and as an area, and this might tick some people off, but I'm gonna speak my feelings. It's taken a long time for this beautiful city to really evolve, right? We're still growing, we're still evolving in a lot of different ways. It's and some people may disagree with me, it's not a major metropolitan area, say like an LA or a Chicago or a Manhattan or even a San Fran.
Yeah.
It's getting there, but it takes time. And with time, comes issues, and they're going to have to address some of those things.
Yeah.
But I think in the long run, we're in really good shape.
Long run, great shape. No
Great
question
shape.
about it. Pete knows real estate.
That's
man.
right, buddy.
Great to see you, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I really
for the
appreciate it.
411. Yeah, I'd love to have you back.
I'm super grateful.
Yes, grateful to have you here. It's been
Yeah.
awesome speaking with you. Hey, share this if you want your friends to be smarter than everyone else about luxury real estate in San Diego from the one, the only, Pete Middleton. Pete knows real estate.